Welcome to r/am_I_the_a-hole, where we get to judge whether or not you're an actual a-hole or if it's just everybody else's fault. Hey guys, today we're going to do something a little bit different. I don't know. I saw a video today while I was working at my other job. Somebody doing the Am I an A-hole readings and commenting. It was interesting. Figured, you know what? If they're going to throw their personal lives out there on the internet for everybody else to join in on, then let's make it a little more public. Am I the a-hole for leaving my boyfriend stranded at a party for making a joke? I, 19 female, have been with my boyfriend, 25 male, for about 6 months. We don't live together, but I spend a lot of my time at his place. A week ago or so, I was feeling quite sick, not wanting to drive home. I spent the night at his place. He woke me up at about 5 a.m., and to my great embarrassment, I had wet the bed. I helped him clean up the best I could. I had a temp of about 103.8 Fahrenheit, and he took me to the hospital. They kept me overnight. A few days later, when I saw him again, I apologized for what happened. He told me it's alright and that he got me a gift. He pulled out a package of adult diapers and threw them at me. I told him that I didn't think it was very funny and explained that I was embarrassed, but he thought it was hilarious. I decided to let it go and talk about it later. We went to a party that night. Well, not really a party, us and 6 other friends, about an hour away. I drove since he doesn't have a car. After he had a few beers, he started loudly telling them what had happened, forgetting to mention that I was sick and had a high fever, just the part of me wetting the bed and him buying the diapers. He encouraged my friends to joke about it, and after trying to explain but being talked over or laughed at, I left and went home. My boyfriend is obviously quite upset I left without him. I just didn't want to be stuck in a car with him for an hour. He sent me several texts since then, most of which are calling me too sensitive and not able to take a joke. Some of my friends agree with him. Am I the a-hole? Oh my god. Not only are you not the a-hole, I don't think you went nearly far enough. I mean, you showed great restraint just leaving. That's the very least you should have done. Even if you weren't sick. Hey, accidents happen. I've seen people do it because they were too drunk, couldn't handle themselves, weird dreams, being sick, like you said. It's something that happens. It's not his business to put it out there no matter what. That was a personal thing. And honestly, that relationship should have stopped the minute he bought you the diapers and tossed them at you. Yep. The party was just the cincher that he really is the a-hole 100%. And his friends are at least partial a-holes for agreeing with him. I mean, that's ridiculous. And of course, being, 6 years older than you are and he still doesn't have a car, come on, man, grow up. OP, you're not the a-hole, and you need to stay as far away from him as possible. No relationship's worth all that. Am I the a-hole for kissing my husband at a friend's event? I, female 37, and my husband, male 42, attended my friend Becky's, female 36, annual barbecue last weekend. Becky and I have been close friends since college. I met my husband shortly after graduating, and while him and Becky have never been very close, such as hanging out with me, they have always been friendly toward one another, and we've all hung out together on numerous occasions. Becky recently lost her husband due to a medical issue, and we've all been devastated. This year, Becky texted me the day before her event and told me she was making this year's occasion a child-free one, and that meant I couldn't bring my 3-year-old, and that she understood if I couldn't make it. I bit my tongue in an effort to be respectful and thanked her for letting me know and told her I indeed wouldn't be able to make it. She responded by saying she was looking forward to seeing my husband at dinner, though. I saw no issue with this and sent her a thumbs up. The next morning was the day of Becky's event, and my mother-in-law luckily agreed to babysit our toddler. We thanked mother-in-law and headed over to Becky's with food, gifts, and no children in tow. As we walked in, Becky greeted my husband with a hug and an excited hello, and then me with a sort of surprised look on her face. She didn't say much to me and went into her living room with everybody else. I went to put down the food on the counter while she introduced everybody to my husband and referred to him as Dear. My husband told me this later on in the evening. I walked into the room and she gave me no mind since she was deep in a conversation with a friend of hers. Sometime into the party, Becky and my husband were both standing at the patio door and she had her arm around his waist. He spotted and looked at me with that "help me" glare, so I made my way over, thinking she had one too many. I gave him a kiss as he separated from her grasp. Becky looked at the both of us and then back at the others at the party with a shocked expression, and then ran back into the house crying. She ran into the bedroom and locked the room and screamed at me to leave through the door. I tried asking her what had upset her and why she wanted us to leave numerous times. She refused to answer me and just kept crying. So we left, and on the way out received some pretty dirty looks from other partygoers. Later I received texts from several mutual friends who scolded me for PDA and how Becky was so upset that I had made her party look tacky and that I was rubbing it in her face that she was a widow. I was so shocked and hurt to hear this and mentioned that every other couple at the event was also being relatively affectionate, and that despite my husband and I not being the ones to commit PDA in public, I had given him a side hug and a peck kiss, and that was all. Anyways, I'm at a loss for what I should do. I feel like I hurt a close friend, but I'm not sure how and what I can do to fix it. Reddit, help! Am I the a-hole? Becky sounds like a manipulator and a user, and it sounds like she was that way long before she became a widow. That's just like somebody who can't get pregnant who, insists that you shouldn't bring your kids around them because they can't get pregnant. It's not that you're rubbing your face in them. This is our life. This is our family. This is how we are, who we are. It's just ridiculous, man. Yeah, she lost her husband, but that doesn't mean that she gets to glom on yours and make you feel bad for basically what you said, a side hug and a peck on the cheek or lips or whatever. And obviously the people at the party didn't really notice what happened. They just went by what she said. And if they're jumping on the bandwagon and scolding you over text or phone calls or whatever without getting both sides of the story, then yeah, none of them are your friends. Am I the a-hole for only spoiling myself? First time poster, so please bear with me. My parents adored my older sister, Elle. I was the oops baby they had later in life. Growing up, I was well aware that my older sister is and was the star of the show. I wasn't abused, just ignored. Example, sister had a huge party every year, and the one year I wanted one, 16th birthday, my parents basically let her take over and it ended up being all about her. I always felt second best. When it was time for college, my folks told me I was on my own as my Elle switched majors, so they had to spend more money on her degree. It was up to me to figure it out. Luckily, I had the grades. I applied for grants and scholarships and left 2 days after high school graduation. I've been... the hell is LC? I've been LC since. Through hard work, counseling, and good friends, I'm pretty happy with the person I am today. I own my own home, my retirement plan is sound, so I enjoy spoiling myself. Nice car, vacations with friends. I often post our adventures on social media. This is important. After 7 years of not speaking, cards at Christmas, my mom reached out and invited me to Thanksgiving. I want more out of curiosity than hopes of reconciliation, but I had an open mind. When I arrived, Elle was there. That degree never happened. She's currently posting stuff on TikTok, waiting to become a viral star. In the meantime, she's living at home. After dinner, my mom mentioned that she started following me on Facebook and saw what a nice life I had. Elle made the comment that it must be nice to have money to throw away and ignore your familial responsibilities. My mom co-signed this nonsense, stating that since I was doing so well, I should be helping out, especially since she and Dad are close to retirement age. The house needs work, and Elle could use a little help because family helps family. I should start pitching in to ease the burden. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I told Mom that she and Dad bet on the wrong horse, and that I don't owe her, him, or my delusional sibling a damn thing. I left and blocked them. Am I the a-hole for not even considering helping out since I have a healthy amount of disposable income? Am I the a-hole further for thinking the invite was nothing more than the opening salvo to get money? No, you're absolutely correct. They basically invited you to Thanksgiving dinner to see what they could get from you. Money, time, your soul. I've had family members like this, They don't want anything to do with you until they, need something from you, whether it's financial or time, whatever, and it sucks. Now, I choose to not totally cut those family members off, but at the same time, I'm not going to play into it. I'm not going to call it out. I'm not going to play the game. I'm just going to ignore it. We can talk and be cordial, but if the subjects come up again, I'm done. So, you're not the a-hole. It sounds like your sibling was trained to be an a-hole by your a-hole parents. And I call these people users, and I didn't come up with that term on my own, and I'm sure my dad didn't either, but that's who I heard it from. He said there's basically users and people who contribute, and these people are users. Yeah. Playing favorites sucks. And I won't play. And you shouldn't either. And it sounds like you value yourself enough to not have gotten into this, and maybe this should be the end of it. Am I the a-hole for refusing to drop out of college so my brother can go to med school? I, 21 female, am the third of 7 children. I have 5 brothers, 24, 23, 20, 18, 15, and a sister, 16. Because there's so many of us, our parents let us know that they could only afford for 4 of us to pursue higher education. My older brother started working out of high school, and my sister's planning to get a GED, so this wasn't a problem until recently, when my youngest sibling told us he wanted to become a doctor. Obviously, my parents don't have enough left of his college fund for that. I and 2 of my brothers, 20 and 18, are already in college. They borrowed some money and even got my older brothers to chip in a bit, but they still don't even have close to enough, so they told me they couldn't pay for my remaining time in college and asked me to drop out. They said that with that money, they would be able to save up enough in the next 3 years. I only have 2 years left before graduation, and I don't want to be without a degree in the midst of a pandemic, so I said no. I'm already paying for part of my tuition fees with the money I make from my part-time job, so I also have no savings whatsoever. My parents got really upset and asked why I couldn't just make one small sacrifice for my brother's future. They said there would be no difference since an arts degree is as good as no degree. My brother is a straight A student, so he'll definitely do well as a doctor. I feel bad about rejecting them since I know they'll just ask one of my younger brothers who are in college to drop out, but I don't intend on giving up halfway through my studies. Am I the a-hole here? Yeah, see, more users. They oversold everything to you guys. They made promises that they knew they couldn't keep, even though it was to only 4 of you, which, I don't know. Listen, I made the choice to have as many kids as I have, and I told every one of them right from the start that I probably would never be able to pay for college. I will do my best to make sure they have enough education before then to get scholarships, grants, whatever. They have to have the drive to do it as well. But that I just couldn't pay college, and I'm not going to get out tons of loans because I think that's ridiculous. I think half the degrees out there aren't worth the paper they're written on, honestly, but it is what it is. If they had already made a deal with you and the 2 other brothers that were in college already, then for them to go back on that is just totally ridiculous. If I tell my kids I'm going to do something and I don't do it, I'm the a-hole. Now, if I make an arrangement with them to do something and I follow through and they don't, now they're the a-hole. And that's kind of what you got going on here. Do what you can to get your own degree. It's your life, your degree, and it was what they let you do, and they should follow through. So no, you're not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for calling my stepdad pathetic and my mother spineless during Thanksgiving dinner? Oh my God. I'm 19 female and using a throwaway because my siblings use Reddit. Yeah, like they won't recognize this story. I know it sounds bad, but here's the gist. I've got 2 siblings, 15 female and 17 male. And while I lived in mom and stepdad's household, currently at university, I was tasked with most chores, washing dishes, doing laundry, cleaning, running errands, you name it, while my siblings had none. Their reasoning? You're older. I protested this many times, telling them my siblings were old enough to also share the chores, but stepdad always shouted me down and called me ungrateful after he put a roof over my head and fed me. That's been a line he's thrown at me endlessly. My siblings have been given anything they want, allowance, gifts, electronics, but if I asked for something I was told I didn't need it. That's why I started babysitting at 12 so I could buy my own goods. I've worked since. They stopped me buying basic goods like sanitary products as soon as I started working. I'm at university on full scholarship because I knew early on I'd be on my own on this front. I worked my butt off to get into my top choice. I love it there. I feel free and in control of my life. The issue came during dinner. Mom, stepdad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins were there. I was talking to an aunt who'd congratulated me on getting into my university, and stepdad says loudly, "Trash AF Giving thinks her fancy college makes her better than everyone else as usual." I can't explain what was different this time, but I snapped. I told him he was pathetic for picking on me all my life when all I'd done was try to be a good kid, and I told my mom she was spineless for letting him treat me this way, and I left, which felt like the right thing to do at the time. I slept at a friend's and got a train back to university the next day. My mother has since called me distraught, like full-on sobbing, saying I was being overdramatic and that I humiliated them. She says that I'm ungrateful because, look at how well you're doing. That's because of us. And I just don't know. I feel bad she's this hurt. People have it worse. I am doing well. I have a family to come home to. I just don't know. Am I being dramatic? Am I the a-hole? Update. I can't tell you how validating these comments have been. I never talk about my family in real life because deep down I think I feel ashamed of how my family treats me. So this has been helpful, really. I don't have it in me yet to tell them what I need to tell them outright, but I do have it in me to go no contact. They don't fund any part of my life, so the only thing they can hold over me is themselves. I'm writing an email now to let them know not to contact me and that I won't be contacting them until I'm ready to communicate. Brother texted, Mom won't stop crying, hope you're happy. Sister texted, this sucks. So there's that. I love my younger siblings, but I'm going no contact with them as well before I figure out what I want. Okay, I'm going to assume this is true. You wrote it, you put it out there, but I will say that I have seen a lot of people who tend to embellish the way they were treated growing up. Now, maybe stepdad is an a-hole. Maybe he was favoring the other two kids. I mean, were they his biological kids? I mean, you didn't really lay out any of that stuff. But basically, if everything you said is true, then no, you're not the a-hole, he is. And so is your mom for allowing it to happen. Hopefully now that the aunts and uncles and grandmas and everything have seen this, hopefully their eyes are open, but probably not. I'm kind of torn on this one. It sounds like a little bit of both to me, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say that no, you're not the a-hole for this one. And what do you guys think? You think she really is the victim in this, or do you think there's like a combination of things going on and maybe they're all a little bit a-hole-ish? Let me know down below. Am I the a-hole for cursing someone out who accused me of faking an Irish accent? I'm from Newfoundland, Canada. In Newfoundland, we have an accent which is kind of similar to an Irish accent, but not quite the same. A lot of Scottish and Irish people immigrated here, and we've been isolated from the rest of Canada, which is why we have a different accent. I'm currently studying in California. I work at an Outback Steakhouse. All the time I get asked if I'm from Ireland. I was waiting on a group of college-aged people when I asked if I could take their order, and one of them said, "Are you from Ireland?" I responded and said I'm from Newfoundland, Canada. She then told me I should stop faking my accent, as it's quite rude and offensive of me to culturally appropriate another culture and mock them. I tried to explain that I'm not speaking with an Irish accent, and she wouldn't let me finish or just dismissed me as lying. After her interrupting me 4 times trying to explain to me about cultural appropriation and stuff, I got sick of it and said, "Us Newfoundlanders speak like this. I'm not faking an effing accent. Now, can I take your order?" She said, "You know I'm not going to take this disrespect. We're leaving." And she left. Her friends didn't follow her. Eventually, one more did leave, but the other 2 were still there. It was effing hilarious. My boss, however, is ticked at me as she did call and made a complaint about me. He said if I do that again, I'm getting fired. While I understand the sentiment, you still can't cuss people out of a customer service job. Trust me, the business that I own, that I work during the day, is a retail business. It's manufacturing and retail. I still can't stand there and cuss customers out. It just doesn't work. No matter how wrong they are, I still have to keep my cool to a certain point and just push on and just deal with it. So with that being said, you were wrong for cussing her out. At the same time, you could have just stopped what you were doing, walked away, went to your manager, supervisor, boss, whatever, and said, "Listen, this lady's accusing me of weird things and it makes no sense. She won't let me take their order. Can somebody else take this table?" Or something. But when you work for somebody else, you kind of got to learn to eat crap once in a while. The girl at the table was definitely the a-hole in this situation. But you may have to find a different way to deal with a-holes as long as you're going to be in a service-related industry. It's sad, but it's true. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, do me a favor. Click like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and maybe click that little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. And let me know what you think about the Am I the A-hole stories. Should I throw them in once in a while too? What do you think? See ya!